this QuickBooks video, we want to look at accrual and cash-based reports. What's the difference, and does it even make any difference for you? So in QuickBooks, those two basis types of reports, that's a reporting function in QuickBooks. You can see I have a balance sheet up here on the screen, and I have the option here of showing this report either accrual or cash, and I can switch back and forth between those two. Just real quick, I'll point out that in Preferences, in the Reports section, I can tell QuickBooks where by default I want my reports to come up in either accrual basis or cash basis. But let's look a little bit more at what that means. So accrual basis is going to count all the transactions in QuickBooks. When QuickBooks looks at income or revenue, we might say it's going to count all of the invoices. Even though, as you can see here on my balance sheet, I have almost $36,000 in invoices that are unpaid. So I've done the work, I've created the invoice, but the customer hasn't paid yet. This is revenue under the accrual basis of reporting. Under cash basis, it's not, because it has not been paid yet. Let's look at one transaction and see if we can't see that in a little more detail and see what QuickBooks does. If I pull up an invoice for one of these customers in this sample file here, the date in the sample file is December 15 of 2023. The invoice date here is August 25th of 2023. So if QuickBooks were running a report, and let's say we were running a report, say, for just August for a profit and loss report, this would be revenue. This would be included on that report because the transaction date, the invoice date, is August 25th. If I were to run that same report, the profit and loss report for August, but I ran it cash basis, then this invoice would not be included on that report, because QuickBooks would look at this date over here and say, well, this invoice wasn't paid until October 13th. Therefore, it is October revenue, not August revenue. That can make a rather dramatic difference on a report. So let's just take a quick look at what happens on the balance sheet here. I know a lot of people don't use balance sheets, so we'll look at a profit and loss here in just a minute. But if I make this switch, you can see that the accounts receivable line goes away. All right, and on the expense side, so I just want to make this clear as well, if I recorded expenses in QuickBooks by using the enter bill, pay bill routine rather than just going to write checks, then any open bills, accrual basis, a bill that's not paid would be an expense. Cash basis, if it's not paid, then it would not be included on the report as an expense for the company. So there's no accounts receivable amount on this cash basis balance sheet either. All right, how does that look? What does that do on a profit and loss? So let's look at a profit and loss for, let's go back to the first of the year. So since the date in the sample file is 12/15/23, we'll use that as our end date. Shorten this up just a little bit, and we are showing net income of a little over $33,000. So that's what Larry's looking at for his profit and loss. But that's accrual basis. What if we look at cash basis? Okay, now he's only looking at $2,000 in income. Okay, so that's the kind of difference it can make on your report. So $31,000 difference there on that profit and loss. what that means to you is, a accrual basis usually gives you the better numbers as far as what's happening in the business, because if the expenses for a particular job or a particular transaction are in your QuickBooks, it's nice to have the revenue side of that activity in QuickBooks as well, so you can kind of match those two, and accrual basis will give you that. Cash basis, though, will give you how the business is doing solely based on what's been paid or what's been deposited to the bank account. So we're going to do some more videos in the future that this is kind of the basis for that cash versus accrual and what that will do for you. So I wanted to get this out of the way first. I hope that was helpful, and thanks for watching.